Yo, what's going on, guys? It's G Miners here, and in this video, we are going to be going over Merciless, which got a massive buff this season. If you guys aren't familiar with this exotic, it is a fusion rifle that increases in its rate of fire every time you land a shot. More specifically, you're actually just getting a massive charge time decrease, going from 1,000 down to just 216. Charge time values in Destiny are just milliseconds, so 1,000 would be a full second's charge time, and 216 means this is almost down to just a fifth of a second. The issue with this weapon was that you used to lose the benefit of decreased charge time during a reload, but now, with recent changes, this increased fire rate has a 5-second duration that lasts across reloads and is instantly reset upon landing another hit. This is a massive change, which now makes it one of the best DPS weapons in all of Destiny. Getting straight into things, I went and tested it in this lost sector, which does have the final boss coded as an actual boss in game, and you're going to see that my first burst here hits for a bunch of different numbers. The way that the exotic perk actually works is each and every fusion rifle bolt that hits is going to increase our fire rate, as I previously mentioned, but this also decreases our damage by 0.84% each and every time. This is why each bolt has a slight decrease in its damage. We're going to max out our rate of fire whenever we reach conserve momentum times 15, so this is only ever going to decrease the damage of the weapon by around 12%, since it stops after the first 3 full bursts hit. But once again, we are getting almost a 400% increase in our rate of fire. That said, we are going to be hitting for a max of 8,914 damage in our first shot, and then this will continually go down during the first 3 shots until we start consistently hitting for 7,850 damage per bolt. All of these damage numbers and changes that the weapon experiences are going to be included in the damage calculations. If you do sum everything up, the entire damage of Merciless with double reserves, which has 21 total shots, is going to be 832,772 damage. This is actually super high for most special weapons in the game, which makes sense because fusion rifles tend to have really good total damage outputs, but there is going to be a way to increase this even further. By getting a kill with Merciless and then reloading within 6 seconds of that kill, we are going to proc a damage buff. This is a 50% increase in the weapon's damage, and it lasts for 4.5 total seconds. You can either get a kill, wait for ×5 to reset, then reload, or you can reload right after a kill and start dealing damage with ×5 conserve momentum already procced. I decided to assume if you were using this that you would be dealing damage right after reloading, so ×5 would stay up. In my own testing, I would say this should allow us to get a maximum of 6 shots off with this 50% bonus damage. Using the ×5 and onward damage numbers, now with a 50% damage increase, along with the other full reserves of the ammo, this bumps us up to 908,000 total damage, which is 20 total shots worth because we did use the first one for a kill. Now looking at the time that it takes to deal the full 21 shots worth of damage, this would take us around 16 seconds, bringing our base DPS value out to 50.6 thousand damage per second. And then with that bonus damage activated, this would now jump up to 55.2 thousand damage per second instead. Also, keep in mind, when using the damage increasing method, we would only really have shot 20 shots here, so the DPS might increase by around 1 to 2% from the value I have on screen. If we compare that to 4th Horseman, which is one of the best burst weapons in the game, we are going to hit the same boss for 1,660 damage per pellet. This shoots 12 pellets, so the base shot is actually going to hit for 19.9 thousand damage, and since this damage does scale up per shot, in one full mag, we are going to hit for 118.9 thousand damage. Across the full double reserves value of 20 shots, this is 4 mags worth of damage, so in total, we hit for 475,000. And then testing this with something like Rain of Fire, which is one of the best methods you can use for DPS on the weapon, we deal the full reserves in 7.9 seconds, which is around 60.2 thousand damage per second. So even without an exotic to bypass reloads, Merciless is almost dealing the same amount of DPS that 4th Horseman is dealing, and it is also nearly doubling the total damage output as well. I think even without bosses to proc a kill off of, going into damage, Merciless is now one of the best options in the entire game, and it even beats out something like Cloud Strike, which I recently tested as well. I think this, combined with a linear fusion rifle, is probably one of the best weapons to now bring in as a secondary option for boss damage, and fusions tend to be extremely easy to use. Not to mention that the Catalyst also gives this plus 40 range, so even without Lunas on, the damage drop-off shouldn't be too bad. Let me know if you guys have tested this thing out against any bosses yet this season. Now that the main exotic perk is way easier to use, I will definitely be using this against some bosses myself. I do also stream a bunch over on my Twitch where we do low mans and speedruns live. A link to that and my Discord server are below. Anyways, that's all for this video, guys. As always, have a good one. Peace.